Welcome, everybody, to today's Operational Services Committee meeting. On this committee are myself, Councillors O'Connor, Councillor O'Toole, and Mayor Clayton. So we'll call the meeting to order, and I'll look for an adoption of the agenda, please. Councillor O'Toole.
I move that we adopt the agenda for today's meeting.
Okay, thank you for that. Councillor Plotz in favour.
Mayor Clayton. Oh, there we go. Thank you. Oh, yeah, Mayor Clayton in favor. And sorry, Councillor Plott, if you don't have your e-scribe open, that was carried unanimously.
Yeah, thank you for that. I'm running off the same thing as my e-scribe, so I won't be able to check that. My apologies. So with that carrying, we'll go to our, we have no delegations, we have no reports, so we'll go to our service area update, and I'll look to Chief Glavin, please.
Thank you, Chair Palat. We'll start off in engineering and transportation services. Snow removal for residential was activated Friday, March 14th. So we're currently in week A on Tuesday today. The current snow conditions are allowing crews to move faster than usual. So yesterday, week A and week B residents were taken care of in that rotation, and we will be sending out additional correspondence to the community that week B in all areas should be prepared for snow removal to advance faster than usual just due to favorable snow conditions. Crews are also actively plowing and hauling windrows from priority 2 and 3 streets, and water trucks are continuing to open catch basins and culverts to prepare for the next spring melt. On the capital side, we've posted a request for tender for the road overlay phase 1, as well as a request for proposal for the 2025 and 2026 road rehabilitation and drainage, as well as some other related work for Old Highway 43, so the 100th Avenue area around the airport and west of city limits. We've also closed the request for tender for road rehabilitation phase 3 to do full depth reclamation in a number of areas around the city. In corporate facility management, we hosted a engagement session for the Community Energy Improvement Program for the Grande Prairie Real Estate Board, which we had over 60 realtors in attendance for that event. We've also awarded the Bennett Energy Center exterior door replacement project. As well, we have RFPs open for the City of 99 facility redesign and the air supported rec facility project up in Trader Ridge. In environment parks, we're nearly complete hiring all of our seasonal staff for the year when we expect seasonal staffing to begin on April 28th. In development services, we have a change to a permitting process that we're going to be implementing as part of a procedure amendment. So the sidewalk patio program, we'll also be including sidewalk displays and A-board signs in that program. This is a result of a legal review that we had done internally that determined that the current blanket events special permit that was being issued wasn't appropriate for that type of display. So we'll be rolling that into the sidewalk patio program application. There'll be no fee for businesses, so there'll be no additional cost for it. It'll be an application form and a proof of insurance, and that will be the only change to that businesses will see. And we'll also have the development services going out to the Downtown Association to educate them on that. And with that, I'll take any questions.
Thanks for that, Chief Glavin. Mayor Clayton, you have your hand up.
Thanks, Chair Plott. Chief Glavin, I just wanted to share some information that I received from the Real Estate Association in regards to the energy presentation. They were extremely pleased with that. They found it very valuable, and they just wanted me to send thanks to your department for sharing that information. It was greatly appreciated. Thanks.
Councillor Brescia, I see a hand up.
Great. Thank you, Chair Plott. I'm just curious about that sidewalk sale application, so they don't currently need to prove insurance?
Yeah, thanks, Chair Palat. Yeah, essentially it was being applied for under a special events permit that just was inappropriate for signs, in particular signs or sidewalk displays, and was just caught in a legal review, so that it wasn't being appropriately treated from an insurance perspective.
Do you know what limit of insurance we're requiring them to have?
I believe the city's minimum is $2 million.
Okay. Great, thank you.
Seeing no other hands up, appreciate the service area update, Chief Glavin. So we'll move on in our next item to 4.2, request for waiver of fees to Maskwa Medical Center, and I'll look for Chief Glavin to introduce, please.
Thank you, Chair Palat. The city received a request to waive fees related to the Maskwa Medical Center development. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Downing to run through that.
Thank you, Chair Palat. Council directed administration to explore fee waivers for the non-profit areas in December of 2024. And the Maskwa Medical Center submitted a formal application under Policy 607. The applicant has indicated that the facility will be 90.3% identified as nonprofit, and so they're asking for a fee waiver. And there is an error in the table, so the actual amount is $326,765.70. However, they have indicated that they're interested in a fourth floor to the development, so there may be additional fees applied to this project, and we would like direction to apply applicable fees depending on the scope of their project. So the project is currently 100,000 square feet, and it's a 3-story medical facility. On the first floor is a teaching clinic that the University of Alberta will be running with up to 10 doctors. The second floor includes pharmacy, medical supply store, daycare, and a restaurant. The third floor will have medical specialists and general internists, and the potential fourth floor is additional medical spaces. So this project, or this request for waivers aligns with Council's healthcare attraction and retention strategy, supports inclusive community development by expanding healthcare services, and it is administration recommendation that the waiver of fees be supported. I guess one additional comment is that 90.3% of the fees are identified as waived, and 100% of the securities are identified as waived. And the reason for this is that the securities would be returned to the applicant, so having a breakdown seems unnecessary. And thank you. I'm open to any questions.
Okay, thanks for that, Ms. Downing. Questions for her? Councillor O'Connor.
Yes, thank you very much, Chair Palat. Curious on the fourth floor, I'm assuming that the design is allowing to add a floor, which I think is pretty forward-thinking. But we don't know exactly what's going to go in there.
Thank you, through the chair. The applicant for this waiver of fees indicated that they are negotiating right now with additional medical personnel to determine that. So they didn't have the exact information to provide for me. They have applied for the development permit for it, and that amount is indicated in the report. However, they haven't provided the building design information to properly calculate the building permit fees.
Right. And I'm assuming that there's going to be extra costs to the project by at least a quarter or 1/3. Am I correct in assuming that?
Thank you, through the chair. Yes, you'd be correct in assuming that.
Okay. Thank you.
Ms. Downing, just a question for, I'll go to Councillor O'Toole first and we'll come back.
Yeah, I was just wondering if there was any understanding on when commencement of work would take place, if there's some sort of timeline.
Thank you, through the chair. Unfortunately, I am not aware of their timelines for the project.
Okay, thank you.
See no other hands. This is a question for myself, Ms. Downing. Happy to support the project. Just curious, full confidence it'll go ahead, but are we at any risk of not having any securities at all on a project that size? I know normally we'd ask for those securities in advance on most projects and appreciate we're working with a proponent, but are we concerned at all about not having any securities for a project of this size?
Thank you, through the chair. Typically, the largest security is the paving security, and usually the applicant completes paving before occupancy. So our normal practice on large commercial projects like this wouldn't generally be to take the paving security anyway, because we would expect that they'd have that paving done before they occupy the building, and I would expect that for this project as well. So there is a small risk with landscaping securities if they don't complete them. Yes, there is some risk. Thank you.
Okay, so not what we feel it's mitigatable, and we're not too concerned about it at this point. So I understand that. Councillor O'Connor, you have your hand up again?
Yes, I'd be prepared to do business if there's no other questions.
Seeing no other hands up on Zoom here, I think we would be good for business here.
Okay, thank you. I'd like to move committee approve the request to waive a portion of the fees for the Maskwa Medical Center in accordance with policy 607. Request the waiver of fees, levies, and securities with an addition of the potential fourth floor.
Thanks for that motion, Councillor O'Connor. Somebody in the queue, please vote on that.
We need her to catch up first.
Yep.
Okay.
Councillor Platt in favor?
That carries unanimously.
Thank you for that, Mayor Clayton. So we'll move on to our next item of business, our Bylaw C 1464A road closure bylaw amendments, and I'll let the Chief grab and introduce, please.
Thanks, Chair Palat. This one is relatively minor. Council approved this bylaw already. When it went to land titles, they kicked it back, requesting an amendment to the legal description, which we've now prepared. So we'll be proposing to bring this forward to Council as a housekeeping amendment. And with that, we'll take any questions. I don't think there's any other detail that Ms. Coulter could provide.
Okay, thank you, Chief Glavin. Councillor O'Connor, you have your hand up.
Sorry, I'll lower it.
Any questions on this, or are we just looking for business or isn't? Councillor O'Toole, please.
No, this is kind of a no-brainer thing to do for the city, and it will help out the area there somewhat. And if there is no questions, I would be prepared to make the motion.
Okay, if you want to go ahead and make the motion, Councillor O'Toole, there's no hands up here. So,
okay. I move the committee recommend Council give 3 readings to Bylaw C-1464A, being an amendment to the road closure bylaw.
Thank you for that motion, Councillor O'Toole. Just wait for a second for that pops in our e-scribe, and then vote. Councillor Platt is in favor.
That carries unanimously.
Thanks again for that, Mayor Clayton. So we'll move on to number 4.4, our traffic speeds and safety, road safety, and I'll look to Chief Glavin again to introduce, please.
Thanks, Chair Palat. Committee directed administration to conduct a review of the areas where the any areas where we had speed reductions over the past 5 years, and bring back information on the corresponding collision statistics. So we've done that as of right now, and we focused on the areas that were higher in traffic and where we had the best data. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Hutchinson for a more detailed introduction.
Give me this opportunity to speak and present this report. As introduced, administration were asked to bring back a report to identify the locations where the speeds were reduced as part of the 2020 traffic bylaw update. The locations where the speeds were reduced are included in the appendices. There were a number of reasons why the speeds were reduced. Some of these was just housekeeping to include new schools and playground zones or changes in land use. There was also a request from enforcement services. And there was also a number of locations where administration identified there were some high collision rates involving injury, collisions involving speed, and it's those locations that the report has focused on. The locations included 108th Street, south of 100th Ave, 100th Ave, west of 108th Street, the area of the arterial road around the Northwest Polytechnic, and the northern section of 100th Street. In the 3 years before the speeds were reduced, there were 294 injury collisions on these roads. And the 3-year period after the speeds were reduced, there was 130 reported injury collisions, thus making a reduction of 56%, 164 injury collisions reduced. And this analysis confirms other research out there that by dropping the speeds, it makes a significant improvement in road safety. I have nothing more to add, but I'm quite happy to answer any questions that anybody may wish to raise.
Hey, thanks for that, Mr. Hutchinson. Definitely nice to see the stats going in the right direction for our community. I'll go to Councillor O'Toole and then Councillor O'Connor, please.
Yeah, I was on council when we reduced those rates, and I was kind of wondering if this was the right thing to do. We're upsetting some people because they can't get to work faster and that kind of stuff. And my argument was, well, it'll be a safer trip. We got a lot of things to consider when it comes to lining the traffic lights. And I'm glad to say, I really am, that this has been a successful project. And success in saving injuries to people. And I didn't notice any difference. I tell you, at 5 o'clock, when people are going home from work, they're still not going very fast. So, and I appreciate that. And so thanks for the input a few years ago. You got me. I'm bought into this project. Thank you.
Thanks for that, Councillor O'Toole. Councillor O'Connor, please.
Yes, thank you, Chair Palat. I also kudos to Robin and his Hutchison and his staff for taking a chance on this, and the numbers certainly prove out a significant loss of injury, which we're concerned with quality of life in our community, and that saves lives and costs to the residents. So I wouldn't have thought that it would have made this big an effect, but it is hands down very evident. So congratulations.
Thanks for that, Councillor O'Connor. Mayor Clayton.
Thanks, Chair Plott. Mr. Hutchinson, just a question on process. Maybe for the public information, you can tell me what triggers an exploration in the change of speed, and also on the counter side, if statistics come back and there isn't a reduction in collisions, would your recommendation be to go back to the higher speed?
Thank you. Through the chair. What triggers an exploration of the speed? There is national guidance created by Transport Association of Canada that we try and follow with regards to driver expectations and posted speed limits. There are requirements in terms of access frequency and the proximity to schools. So there are surrounding land use factors that influence what would be the appropriate speed and where we should post the speed limits. With regards to the second part of the question, that if there was no perceived reduction in road safety, then would we revert back to the higher speed? As a road safety professional, I would express caution in doing that. Certainly, as I say, there is substantial research out there that supports a reduction in speed does lead to significant improvements in road safety. Only last week I was reading the Institute of Transportation Engineers March edition of the journal, where somebody in the United States had undertaken research on, I think, 3,000 miles of road where they had actually increased the speed on these roads. and they were seeing a corresponding increase in collisions, not only on the roads themselves, but on the surrounding road network, because there is something called speed adaptation, where people continue to drive at a higher speed once, even though they've changed the road network. So it is possible to increase the speed, and certainly as part of the traffic bylaw in 2020, there were a number of locations where we did increase the speed. So it wasn't an all one-way speed reduction.
If I could, Chair Plott, I just had a follow-up on that.
Yeah, go ahead, please.
Thanks, Chair Plott. Mr. Hutchinson, in particular, I receive information or communication from residents of the traffic change that we made. I'm just looking at a map, I apologize here, on Highway 40 on 76th Avenue heading south. And so that area, people communicate to me, seems like a natural area for us to increase the speed. And I recall, I don't know when, but we did reduce the speed, and the speed now doesn't increase till after O'Brien entrance, I think, if I recall correctly. But I'm wondering, the statistics are showing it made sense, but the question was there from a resident, and actually a couple residents, if the statistics hadn't shown, would we consider areas like that of bringing back the speed? And so, because, in my communication with residents, the statistics show that reduction in speed saves lives. We have data that backs that. And somebody's comment was, well, if over time you see that there's no change, will you automatically bring it back because that's what the residents want? And so that's where my questions are headed. If you have any context in that, great. If not, I was just more curious than anything. Thank you.
Through the chair, I don't really feel that I can answer that question. Certainly, we don't like to impose unnecessary speed limits on traffic. Certainly, I too receive comments from residents about increased journey times. I have pointed out to residents that the change in a speed limit from 70 kilometres to 60 kilometres, it's less than 9 seconds per kilometre that you're actually travelling. So the extra time it takes for you to get from A to B is only a matter of seconds. Also, as per my main reports in the traffic incident handbook, it's commented in there that a quarter of all collisions are actually caused by secondary collisions. So while we hope to reduce the primary collisions, we are also reducing the secondary collisions as well. But in terms of reversing speeds, as I say, I certainly don't wish to increase anybody's journey unnecessarily, but that's certainly something that we can take away.
Yeah, I really appreciate your report, and thanks so much for the information.
Mr. Hodge, just a question for me. I think the report was great. It was nice to see the direction of where we're heading with the collisions, but I get people ask me why a 70-kilometer zone like Resources Road, 4-lane, and then we have another area where it's 60 kilometers, and maybe that is the trigger on accidents. But I'm just curious with this report out, how are we going to message this to the community? Is this going to be through TPPS? Is this just going to be through our regular channels? As it is good information, how do we just educate the community better on why we did this and what the results have been?
Through the chair, I'm not really sure that I'm able to. Oh, sorry, I see that Chief Glavin.
Yeah, thanks, Chair Plott. I think that's a takeaway for us. We can work with communications on how we can better communicate out the results of some of the impacts that we've had with the changes to speed limits through the traffic bylaw amendments. And yeah, as I said, we'll take that as a takeaway to work with communications.
Well, I appreciate that. I mean, community safety is always something that we hear about on council, and I think this report shows exactly the changes we made are enhancing community safety. I just would like to make sure it's being messaged in the community. A question for me, and then I'll go to Councillor O'Connor. Just Mayor Clayton made a comment about how do we identify new spots, and I guess for me, we've had quite a few emails coming in on 72nd Ave and 100th Ave, or 72nd Ave and 100th Street, 92nd Street around 104th, 105th Ave in that range. So I'm just wondering how do those get identified, or is there certain roads in the system now that administration is currently working on to possibly bring forward next changes or potential changes to help safety in those areas.
Through the chair, if I may, my team and I are constantly looking at collision hotspots. We're identifying the causation factors of collisions. We also we look at where the frequency of collisions is high. We also work with the road maintenance team, where they are undertaking road rehabilitation in the next year, and we try and incorporate any road safety improvements into the road network whilst they're doing the road rehab work. So one of it is driven by road safety, the other one is driven by where we're already going into the road to repair the road.
Okay, thank you for that explanation.
Are you coming back to me? What's going on?
I think Councillor Plot's feed has froze, so maybe Councillor O'Connor could take over. Your hand is up.
Okay. Thank you very much. If there's no one else asking questions, I would like to be able to recommend committee receive this report for information.
Just if I could, Councillor O'Connor, I'm happy to support this, really believe in the merits of traffic safety. We know that statistically our community is safer when we have measures that create a safe environment. We also know we have data that shows that through automated traffic enforcement, we had a reduction in collisions and a safer community. With changes of the provincial government, it's even more important that we monitor these speeds. And so because it's hard to put public safety members in certain areas. And so with the reduction in automated traffic enforcement, the analysis of this data will be even more important. So appreciate the report. I think it's something this council and future councils should really keep an eye on, but happy to support it for today. Thank you.
Good. And Wade, are you back?
No, I wouldn't mind getting in.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, I also agree with Councillor Palat. I think we need to promote this information because it's very vital, and it's not because we're trying to get people to get speeding tickets. It's about people with public safety and less injury resulting accidents. So I'm very supportive of this and looking to see what happens in another year or so. Thank you.
Good. On the vote, call the question on committee receive this report for information.
And Councillor O'Connor, I don't know if you have your grade.
Yeah, it's carried unanimously. Thank you.
Yep.
Yeah, I would like to add, there's no other correspondence, and under other business, I have an item I would like to add in, if I have permission to do that.
Sure, go ahead.
There was a report brought out by Brian Glavin, Chief Glavin, about having the 3 areas. They were doing experiments on changing the depth, and I'm wondering at a later committee that this could be brought back and give us what's the status of those reinforced roads.
Sorry, and the depths of the asphalt? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, they changed the underground depth and thickness of the pavement, and that come up, I think it's about a year and a half ago, and I haven't heard what the status it is, and it may be too early because they may not have enough data to see if they worked or not. I was just wondering what the status of that was, and that's to Chief Glavin.
Sure. Thanks, Chair O'Connor. So I believe you're referring to the road structure review that we presented. I think it would have been 2024. It would be too early to give you any results for that. That's likely going to be a few years before you'll see, we'll be able to give any measurable data on that. I would be surprised if we could give you much by way of actionable advice on that at this point. It's a much longer lead time project.
Okay, thank you. So do we assume then that it's 3 to 5 years?
Yeah, thanks, Chair O'Connor. So, what we're trying to do here is take roads from, lasting, 10, 15 years to 15, 20 years. So it's likely going to be, quite a few years. I'm probably a little out of my depth on exactly how many years before you would see it, but it's probably 7 to 10 years before we'd be looking at an overlay on some of those roads. And that'll be more likely the time that we would know if we've been successful or not. But it's definitely a few years out before you would see any measurable difference on those things. However, based on the experience in other jurisdictions and the professionals that we had come up with the new standards, we are expecting improvements in the life of our roadways.
Okay, thank you. Wade, are you back?
Yeah, my apologies, everybody. My Zoom cut out on me. Are we still on outstanding item list now, or where are we at on the agenda? My apologies.
We're just finished other business. I added about road structure, and a report coming back won't be for a few years. So number 8, outstanding items list. Okay, thanks for that. Thanks for stepping in, Councillor O'Connor. So Chief Glavin, if you want to just give us an update on our outstanding items, please.
Thanks, Chair Plot. So 2 amendments here. So one, 1335 speed reductions. We can remove that as that's now been satisfied. Item 1343 for local improvements. Just due to some workload, we're going to have to push that back. That'll likely come the second meeting of April. So we'll be moving that to Q2.
Okay, thank you for that. Just look for a motion to accept that as amended.
Sorry, Chair Plot, I just had a question on the outstanding items list.
You bet. Go ahead, Mayor Clayton. Sorry, I can't see any hands on I'm back to my phone, not on my thing. So
No worries. Chief Glavin, I know it's not on your outstanding items list, more for public information. Can you let me know when council and or committee will have an opportunity to discuss current 2024 snow removal initiative? Just want it documented somewhere. So if you're not adding it to your outstanding items list, fine, but could you just give me a date?
Sure. Thanks, Mayor Clayton. And happy to add it to the outstanding items list. We're expecting to bring it back in May, so we could put that as a Q2 item.
Great. Thank you for that. So, Chair Plot, if you didn't have a motion, I'd be happy to recommend committee approve the outstanding items list as amended.
Oh, that sounds great. I appreciate the motion. So, Councillor Plot is in favor on that.
And that carries unanimously.
Okay, thanks for that, Mayor Clayton. And with that, we will adjourn this meeting. Appreciate that, everybody. Take care.
Okay, I'll be out of here now.